All right. Well, welcome back to another OCS Tech Talk. I'm your host, Dean, the Director of IT. And today we're going to be talking about something that's on every school leader's mind right now: how we support students faster without compromising safety, privacy, or trust. So across schools, we're kind of seeing IT teams being stretched thin, especially in the charter world. We're pretty thin. Students frustrated when support takes too long, and then leadership is rightfully cautious about introducing AI into the student environment. So today's conversation is not about hype, it's our responsibility. I've already had the opportunity to demo the platform internally, and instead of just rolling it out quietly, I wanted to do what I believe technology should do: is ask the hard questions out loud, especially around student safety, data privacy, and governance. So today I would like to introduce who's joining us, Kayvon Berigian, right?
Beringian.
Beringian. There we go. He's the co-founder and CEO of Hubble IQ. Hubble IQ is an AI-powered support platform designed to help students resolve common technology issues faster while introducing help or reducing help desk load for IT teams. But what stood out to me during the demo wasn't what the platform can do. It was the boundaries around what it can't do. So Kayvon, thanks for joining me, and I appreciate you willing to talk through not just the features, but also safeguards that matter to superintendents, boards, parents, and educators around the education world. So before we get started, before we jump in, I want to set some expectations for this conversation. This is not a sales pitch. This is a transparency conversation where we're going to be talking about student safety, data privacy, AI limits, and how districts can stay in control. So my goal is simple here: help school leaders and IT teams understand how tools like this can be used responsibly and what questions they should always be asking before adoption. So when you're ready, Kayvon, we'll jump right in, man.
All right. Dean, thank you for having me. I love talking about this stuff. Obviously, AI is everywhere, whether, they're being accessed through a school environment or outside of it. It's just the reality we live in. And I think it's happening so fast, it is important to pause, ask the questions, and understand, what exactly are we doing here so we can do it safely and really use it as a force for positive change instead of a threat vector for for folks, especially when you're dealing with students, the elderly, parents, staff. So it's our responsibility to be transparent and empowering and educating. So for the next AI solution you look at, you know what questions to ask and do it coherently. So it's quick about myself. Thanks for the intro, Dean. Kayvon Beringian, co-founder, CEO of Hubble IQ. We've been looking and working with data and AI for the last almost 5 years. We started off during the pandemic, trying to empower students to support themselves in remote environments. Everyone was working from home, learning from home. We all had the Wi-Fi problem. The help wasn't there. It really encouraged us, inspired us to pursue this journey as the impact that we can have by taking data and technical concepts and really making it approachable by students, parents, so that they can be as equipped to be digital, to be online, to reap the benefits of this digital world that is expanding at a really, really fast rate. So through the pandemic, we started as a data analytics platform. Generative AI allowed us to take that analytics and actually extend it to a parent, to a student, to be able to get the help they need, to be able to
Yeah.
give themselves tech support, to be able to deal with their at-home Wi-Fi problems so that they can submit homework, and ultimately be one of the factors that reduces learning loss. The Chromebook, the laptop, the iPad, those are the new textbooks. If you can't open your book, you can't learn. That means ensuring that all the pieces between where that device is and where that learning service is always working no matter where that person is. So that's really where we come in. We want to empower you, Dean, and districts large and small to take that power and ensure that every student is getting the best experience they can learn.
Awesome. That's yeah, I mean that's kind of the it's internet. They need internet and they have Chromebooks. It's like if they don't have either one of those, they can't do anything. So that, yeah, it makes it a challenging
Yep.
environment for students these days. So I think we kind of covered that first question, which was, plain English, what does it do? What does it solve for schools and benefits? But more importantly, when districts hear AI plus students, safety is always the biggest concern. So can you kind of give us an idea of what guardrails are built into Hubble IQ that prevents misuse by students?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're all well familiar with the chat GPTs and the various forms of it, power of it. Even just the general internet can be used for good or used for nefarious reasons. And so when we bring AI into the conversation, we're looking at it as a tool that is task specific. We don't want our AI to be used to help a student build a weapon, to hurt themselves, to harm others. And by us providing an interface that has those things in mind, that has a built-in use case of tech support, it allows us to guardrail and monitor it so that anything that is outside of the realm of tech support and digital literacy are things that we can shut out and monitor as well, to the point where if we see something that actually implies something of greater danger, greater harm, it can also be a channel for you to jump in, or the sort of the IT or the administrative staff to say, look, there's something here in the service that we're providing. We're not just going to not answer the question, but we're actually going to send that to the appropriate group to handle those problems. So, to give you an example, we've students will find you know ways to chat with AI, and it's our responsibility not to just say we're going to block off this tool, but since this is the tool they're using at school, we should empower them and teach them how to be safe when they leave the school digital environment. And so part of what we do, beyond just tech support, is digital literacy. It's ensuring that
Okay.
students know that when this computer gets turned back in and they go to college, they can provide their own tech support. They know the principles of how to solve a Wi-Fi problem. They also understand how to stay safe, understand why a non-secure website isn't somewhere where they want to put their social security number. And so as we help students solve their own tech problems, empowering them means teaching them. How close are you to the Wi-Fi router? By the way, the further you are, you lose packets. When packets get lost, you can't stream a video, you can't apply for a job, or you can't interview for a job, you can't take a meeting. These are things that I've learned 20 years ago, and I know that before I go to calling a podcast, I'm wired in, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, my office doesn't work. And so I run my checks before the call so that I could be a good digital citizen and have a good presentation. Those are important as a business person, as well as a student who's about to take the test. Empowerment, digital literacy is a big part of ensuring that when they leave this environment, this AI that we are carefully and mindfully providing them, they're going to learn from their experience here and be able to take that when they go to public chat GPT or Grok or whatever they're using that's out of our scope and out of our control. The only thing we can do is influence them. And we're going to take full advantage of that through Hubble IQ's Fix It AI.
But yeah, I think it's important too, that literacy piece of it. I mean, you wouldn't believe, I've been in IT for 30 years, and a lot of people, and it's 2026, so there's, we hire people, or companies hire people that just don't have the basic computer skills. Like, we don't really teach the basic computer skills. We're teaching kids on Google. And when they get out to the real world and it's a Microsoft place out there, they're like, oh, where's Google at? And where's
Nope,
my
that's
Chromebook?
that's weird.
So yeah, the literacy piece is important, I think. Great.
Yeah.
So let's talk privacy. What does Hubble IQ collect? And just as important, what do you never touch? Because that's going to be kind of a hot topic. What is it? Is it collecting? Is it learning from student data? Things like that.
Yep. Great question. That's something that as we architected the system years ago, we realized that the data that we need to provide tech support is actually mostly telemetry. And when we talk about telemetry, it's going to be, I think about like a car. Do I care about the driver's name? Do I care about the license plate number? Or am I monitoring the engine performance, the tire pressure, the window washing fluid?
Yeah.
And so the data that IT needs to provide tech support to not have to go back and forth 100 times and say, why is your computer broken? What do you mean it's broken? Where is it broken? How long has it been broken? Those are really kind of big, blocky questions to start to pinpoint, the real source of dissatisfaction and pain. The data around, what class topics are they learning? What websites are they browsing? Where are they searching on Google? That information, for our purposes, doesn't really improve or enhance our solution. And so we intentionally stay away from things that kind of into the personal information realm and really focus on helping, IT understand their computer is broken because it hasn't been restarted in 2 weeks. They got an alert because we saw that they were visiting a site that didn't have the proper certificates for SSL. Okay. And so those are the things that we track, that we store, and that we analyze so that we can present to IT and even present to the user, the student in this case, with information that helps them avoid those risks or to understand why non-secure websites are dangerous. We look at data that helps IT understand, yeah, most of my students aren't able to reach Google Classroom or ClassLink because there's an outage. We're getting a certain error from that service that is being realized by students all throughout the student population. There's a widespread issue. So those sort of telemetry points are what we care about the most, because that's what's going to factor the most into how we provide that sort of automation and self-service when it comes to level 1 technical support. And so telemetry oriented, telemetry first. Our stack is built on Amazon. Amazon helped us build our stack. They were so passionate about our use case and, really helping bridge the digital divide in this way that they gave us engineers and said, we're going to make sure this thing is locked down. We're going to make sure there's encryption where it needs to be encrypted. We're going to make sure there's redundancy. And they gave us engineers and they gave us part funding to help us build this mission out. And so it was really baked into the core of what we do. And we really want to stay as far away from things that take us into, curriculums, health data, things like that. Really doesn't align with what we're doing as a fix-it AI tech support solution. And so it makes it a little bit easier for us to kind of address those questions when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Okay, so if a parent asks, "Is this spying on my child?" How would you answer them directly?
Yeah,
because we're going to get those questions.
That's as direct as I can get. We are not spying on the child. The data we collect comes from, I think, if I'm not mistaken, your organization's running Chromebooks. You guys are running a Chrome environment?
Yes.
So we synchronize with Chrome when it comes to pulling some telemetry like CPU, battery. We capture that. They capture it and we sort of coalesce it, process it so that you can know right away. This is why they're complaining about broken computers, because their battery is dying every 15 minutes, right? So that's the data we're collecting. Are we spying on the child? Absolutely not. That is not the business that we're in. Yeah, that is definitely not the business we're in to do. So it's directly I can say, no, we are not. We want to make sure 24/7 help is there for your child at home, on hotspot Wi-Fi, after hours. And that's the tool that we install on the Chromebook. And that's what's empowering us to provide that support.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, let's go with this question. Can districts control what the AI is allowed to answer or do?
Absolutely. So what we do, we design this for districts large and small. On day one, when this thing is deployed, the Chrome extension is deployed on the Chromebooks and the AI portal is put on the website. Click here to get AI tech support. It comes with an out-of-box configuration that we have seen and learned, and we're constantly tailoring to make implementation as quick and easy as possible. Now, every school is going to have their own standard operating procedure. Every school is going to have their own limited restrictions. What I've seen is that tech support is tech support. It's pretty universal. The Wi-Fi is broken. You may want them to answer. You may want the answer to be a little bit different, like, okay, this is the password to the network, or, actually, I would probably just provide a link in that case. We might have a certain procedure that you can train our AI to respond a certain way. But if there are some off-limit questions, those can absolutely be trained or taught to the chatbot in order to ensure that those questions aren't answered. So if it's a Wi-Fi question, I want it to go straight to Dean, I want it to go straight to IT, we can set those rules. But out of the box, I can't access this app. My screen is cracked. My computer is making a funny noise. I can't log into a tool. I need access. My password won't reset. Those are things that if you upload the procedures into our dashboard, it can actually just serve you a link and follow that procedure for you. Kind of, help the student follow that process. If you want us to reset the password, there's a little more integrations there, but out of the box, it's pretty easy to just say, here's a knowledge article. Here are the links to all of the sites that have the have a password reset, or ClassLink, or Canvas, whatever you guys are using. We can promote that process.
So it does. So with a custom integration, you guys could actually do an actual password reset.
We can facilitate that. There is a part that requires verification. When they're using the tool, we do authenticate them. You can enable a public mode on the chatbot. All right. And so this is our end user interface. This is what you would link on your website. It works on mobile. And this is where they come to get help, to ask questions. This portal can be made publicly available. So if you want to have a public mode, parents, grandparents, partners, they can come here and get help as well. They can ask Q&A, FAQs. They can even say that their Wi-Fi isn't working, and we're going to do some high-level tests right in the browser to get data so that we can understand what that actually means. All right, so we're going to run a full diagnostic test here. And again, it's not just about asking questions. Here's a list of questions, answer them. We do harder work. We run tests. And we're looking at stuff that a technician would look at to basically say, this is what I heard. Let me get some data so I can know exactly what they need. There's an articulation opportunity there. But I think the question was, let's see here, it's going to run a test. It's going to analyze it. And now it's going to answer the question. Network speed looking good. Okay, latency is low. Since the network is fine, can you describe a bit more of what you're experiencing, right? So you see, we're kind of eliminating different things and say, okay, well, you say your network, your Wi-Fi was broken. Yeah, it looks fine from what I could tell. What's actually happening? Well, let's say YouTube isn't loading for me. All right, well, let's check YouTube and let's see if YouTube is actually having a problem. So it's going to run a test there and to see if the YouTube service isn't back down. Again, this is the back and forth that you'd have to go through. We're taking care of that with all right. So it's starting to ask me questions. Now, as it troubleshoots with me, it's going to get to a point where it's either going to solve the problem or it's not, in which case it will escalate it to you. It'll open a ticket in Hubble IQ or into your ticketing tool. You can use ours, you can use yours, doesn't matter. And that ticket is going to have all the information you need to pinpoint the problem, solve it right away, and not have to go back and forth to the user 10 times. That takes time. And that's part of the frustration we talked about at the very beginning, where they just they don't get the help they need, and tests do, the homework assignments do. They shut their laptop, they go outside, and that's where the learning loss begins. So we want that help to be available here.
So this can basically be tier 0.
Yeah. Now going back to privacy or security, let's go ahead and say, who is the president of, I don't pick a country, Uganda. All right. So a bit outside of tech support, but some may argue. All right. So it's going to bring it right back. Is there anything else tech related I can assist you with? All right. So we don't want this to be used to cheat on tests. We don't want it to be used to do anything outside of what's happening in what do we represent in the IT department. Now, if there's a facilities issue, if there is an HR question that comes through, things that we can open this up to, but we start small and then we look at the operations that it can actually be interfaced to helping with. So facilities and IT typically sit next to each other, whether there's a problem down the hall. If you wanted to open this up to be able to take those requests, it's not going to tell you where the broom is, but it will open a request and say, okay, let me ask a few more questions, get the information I need about that problem. Let me open that ticket for you. Then you get that, or your partner gets it, and they have all they need in a nice, beautiful ticket, and they can take care of it right away.
From a CISO or Chief Information Security Officer, CIO, or superintendent's perspective, does Hubble IQ reduce risk instead of introducing new risk? How would that play in, or is it?
Yeah, it's a great question. Getting a little bit deeper, but I love it because we talk to CISOs about how monitoring application performance and network performance can actually be an early indicator of a potential threat. And so the part of this platform, as you saw here we ran network tests, we ran application tests. We're looking to see not only can I get to YouTube or to ClassLink or to Google Classroom, we're measuring behind the scenes a lot of headers and status codes and response times. And if we see a big increase or spike in response time, that's going to be an early indicator. There might be something sitting in the middle between that request going from that device and going up to that service. And so the data that we're collecting underneath is absolutely important for your networking teams. And they're going to want to say, hey, I want to get access because I'm seeing all this weird stuff. What's the end user experience like? But I think the same for the CISO team. Hey, what's going on with the device performance? How come all of the computers are all of a sudden having high CPU issues? What's running all those devices? Let's take a pause and understand it. So endpoint experience essentially is what we're describing here, is something that a CISO absolutely cares about, or CISO function absolutely cares about. They're going to want to have access to this tool as well, so they can see on the back end what's going on here. how is the device performing? How are the applications performing? Response times doing well? Are there status codes that we're seeing? Are there redirections? Directions are a big key. If I think I'm going to a website and I get redirected, I think that's a 3, a 4. I forget what number that is. But that's something that I'm going to want to know. I want to know, is that one user or is that all of my users? Right? If it's all of my users, we need to blast out something and we need to, do a code red. So that information also is at your fingertip.
And this is what IT, because that was going to be one of my questions, is what visibility does IT have in here? So this is basically, we're looking at the back end of it.
Yep, we're getting the back end. Someone walks to your desk, you can look them up, you can see how their device has been performing over time. In fact, if you go back here, you're going to see not just their current, let's say, speed test or network performance. Speed test is a bit limited. We look at a lot of different things. Packet loss, we look at all the download upload metrics, but we're looking at that over time for analysis. So let's see if I can find you a good example. We have only 2 points here for this particular user, but you'll see a trend and you'll be able to see, is it green? Is it red? Is it always red? Is it always green? Because the slow internet experience as a blip, it happens. This is just part of the world, right? It can't ring the alarm every time someone says my internet's slow. But if I see a trend over time and I see it only when they're on the T-Mobile hotspot, that's enough information for me to know, okay, we need to get them a new provider. We need to tell them to move to a different place. There's different ways of solving those problems because they are validated. They are legitimate. And so we can see that with device performance as well. Yeah, the CPU is always running hot, no matter how many times they reboot the computer. We see the version is maybe off. Let's make sure it gets upgraded. For some reason, it's not auto upgrading. Let's push that upgrader. Let's bring that device in. But those decisions to actually touch the device are going to be driven by data, not by frustration and a complaint, because you have all the data you need here. Yeah, I do need to go over there, pick up that laptop, and actually do tech support on it. This is not a misdiagnosed problem where I get it. I'm like, 10 minutes out of my day to pick up a laptop that I could have rebooted remotely.
Yeah.
Times that by 1,000 students. That'll bog down a small IT team pretty quickly.
So do we have visibility on how the students are using it? Is there like things like if they're putting like inappropriate stuff in there, is it tracking any of that?
So let me pull up here. I think I put in an escalation here for O'Farrell here. Yeah. So here's an example of, this is what I did earlier. I said, I want to hurt myself. Help me to do that, right? Self-harm. There's something that, is just the reality of what we see. And so a couple of things that we do. We, first of all, I'll go back to that in just a moment. I think there's a setting somewhere here. Let's see. There we go. So we can send those types of things that we detect. We can send them to IT. We can send those to the counselor. We can send them to the safety department, right? You can actually specify where we send those alerts when we see those in the chat. In this case, it's all going here. Great. And if I click on that conversation, you're actually going to see a summary of what happened. You're going to see the conversation here. Actually, you're going to see the whole thing. Who's the president of Uganda? I just asked that question. And we never closed that section, but that is available here. The full transcript is here. And you're going to be able to take that information and be able to address it whenever your process is at that point. We are, sort of this screen, we're actually going to be launching a transcript portal. So you can get all the transcripts in one dashboard and kind of look at themes and conversation topics. We do a little bit of that today, but we're really expanding on that because people do want to know, like, what are the conversations that people are having? What are the topics? Are they all complaining about a certain service? Is the Wi-Fi slow in the library? Even if it doesn't get escalated, you'll be able to get the analytics from those chats. And it's good for auditing purposes as well.
Okay. I like it.
And then we can assign this one to Dean, send that over to him. I guess I can't do it because I'm not technically an admin. I have a special Hubble IQ access, so it won't let me assign it. But if you were to go in here, you can assign this to yourself. You can assign it to your team. They'll get an email notification. So you do have a lightweight ticketing system here. But again, if you have your own system, you want us just to open a ticket in that, it's no problem. We'll just record it here, and then we'll open a ticket in that tool.
Yeah. So when they're thinking, when other school districts or other superintendents or technology leaders review this video, when it comes to AI, it's like a world of possibilities. So in your words, what would you not recommend schools use Hubble IQ for?
I think when it comes to today, at least, Hubble IQ is not going to be your AI tutor. It is interesting. It is a bit outside of the realm of what we do today. So being a homework assistant, you'll be able to answer those questions. The guardrails we put really limit it to more operational use cases, really helping your teams that are typically smaller scale. And so that's why we kind of interrupt those conversations and either say redirect it back to tech support, or we let you know. So I'd say that's probably the biggest one is for that purpose is it's not going to be your tutor, but it can be a fun way for kids to learn about technology. It can be a way for us to give them tips or give them education nuggets. And so in that regard, it is educating. But if we're looking at a history assignment, it's not going to help them write their essay. Right. So don't use it in that way. When you put it on your website or you make it accessible to your organization, ensure that the context is appropriate. On the tech support website, click here to get tech help 24/7. And then that way they go over the right expectations.
Okay. All right. My last question then is, if you were speaking directly to a school board, and what would you say is the biggest concern they should really be asking about? How would you address it?
Talking to a school board, the biggest concern they should have when it comes to helpful IQ, I think a lot of it we touched on around what happens if things happen outside of the tech support topic. Of course, right? The guardrails are there. We are constantly hardening this thing for hallucinations. Hallucination is a part of AI that is everywhere. You've all experienced it in one way, whether it's a ChatGPT, where it gives you just a completely off the rails answer. It's a hallucination or something that, we don't just set it and forget it. We are constantly refining this. The benefit of being operations and tech support oriented is that it's actually pretty easy to say, this is your box. It's a small box. But if we were saying, hey, write me an essay, now you're giving it free rein to do a lot of things. And, the results may vary if you're not very careful. So that part, hold us accountable to ensuring that it remains safe 100%. I think that's something that's why that's why we man the table. There are a lot of tools out there that pop up that look good, that say whatever you want to say. But, we are, venture backed company. We've been around for about 5 years. We've been in the education space for a long time. We are real humans. Those are things you got to worry about these days. We're based in California. And these are things that, when I look at a tool, these are questions I ask. These are questions you should ask about us. Like, tell us more about you as a company. Are you going to be there when we need help?
Yes.
And
That's the
and
most
the answer to
important.
that is yes. And we have a track record to prove it. We have clients that we've been working with, and we're really, really passionate about what we're doing. And so this isn't something that we created overnight. This is something that we've carefully put together over a long, long period of time. And we really think that our AI use case is one of the few that can really help impact student outcomes in a very nerdy and non-attractive way, being tech support. The tech support is tech support,
Right.
but the
Right.
world runs on tech support. The stuff doesn't work. This digital world breaks. And so we have a responsibility. It's the sausage factory. Here, we're trying to make it beautiful, fun, easy, and prepare the next generation for the future.
Yeah, I mean that's great. And we're gonna pilot it the rest of the school year here at O'Farrell. So I'll report back in a future episode here of how our students are using it, and if it's living up to its name. Is it going to reduce the amount of IT tickets that are going to come in? I'm sure it would. Hopefully fixing, because we do get a lot of. I mean, everybody knows in tech you get a lot of those, really simple things of a quick restart or
Yep.
a
And this
lot of
thing
that
can
kind of
restart your computer
solves
for you
people's
too, by the
problems.
way. I didn't mention that. But the most
Say it
common
one more time.
issues, I think the two most common issues we see from interviewing and talking to IT folks is password resets, starting computers. Starting a computer, amazing stat. Since the 90s, it's been 50% of all tech issues have been resolved with computer restart. That number
Yep.
actually hasn't changed over the last 30 years, which is mind blowing. That as much as the technology has advanced, that part of it hasn't changed. And what that tells us is, we're trying to make things faster, shinier, more expensive, but we're forgetting about kind of the core component of it, which is, but make sure your users are empowered, that they're educated to train. And so we're kind of bringing it back to that, using all this cool stuff to ensure that the user is still a notice and considered as an important factor in providing that experience we're all driving towards. Don't forget about the user, right? And we want to.
Yeah, and they think they're slick too when they call up. It's, "Oh, I already rebooted my computer," and then you check the log, and that thing's been on for 2 weeks.
Oh, they did. They said, "Oh, all right, it's rebooted."
Right. They don't yeah, that literacy piece, like educating on, computers and
But one thing I'll close with here, and again, more from what we see when it comes to bringing AI solutions into these types of environments, don't underestimate culture. You have to introduce these tools with a campaign or with a sort of plan to start to shift culture over a bit. Folks are used to walking up to your desk and getting help, right? And when you're not at your desk, they get frustrated because they have to wait longer,
Yeah.
or the team is busy. So getting culture to shift to say, look, let's come here first. The change happens faster once people realize, wow, I got instant help. Cool. I don't have to go bother Dean every day. I can just come here first. And Dean helps me faster. He comes to my desk now when he needs to. So, when you launch a tool like this, having an idea of a campaign, an announcement known as a banner. We actually provide a banner to our customers on our website. Say, hey, need help? Go to feral.hubbleiq.com or whatever it is, and go there first, right? And so don't underestimate culture. Think about that as you deploy. If you deploy it, you put it in the right place, people will use it. But if you present it as a new way of doing business, people will adopt it. I think with a little less friction and a little less pushback. This solution is called Fix It AI, so you can actually go to Fix It AI. You'll go to the same place. If you are watching this outside of your Feral group, we can set you up with a trial. Try it out. The proof is in the pudding. We hold ourselves to that standard, and to kind of see how it works in your organization. Look forward to working with you and answering more of your questions and helping you adopt AI in a safe and responsible way. So thank you,
Yeah,
Dean. Really
absolutely.
appreciate the time.
Yeah, I'm gonna get this out. I'll probably load it up on our school's YouTube channel, so we'll be available to the public, and I'll throw it out to any of my fellow IT
So I'll
directors
put a
out there.
link. I'll give you a link to put on the YouTube page if they want to sign up or whatever they want to do.
All right, cool.
All right.
All right, Kayvon, I appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, Dean. Appreciate your
All
time.
right, have a good one.
You too.
Bye bye.